It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Wednesday Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 8th day of February, 2023. Boy, do we have a full show this morning. Coast Guard conducts 2 medevacs from cruise ships. Carnival cruises canceled. A tropical cyclone forces a ship's return to Homeport. A laptop fire sends 4 to the hospital. Zaandam and itinerary change. Cruise line offers buy now, pay later option. Half of Prince's fleet going to Alaska. Better than expected results from Royal Caribbean. A little bit on Icon of the Sea's ultimate family Townhouse. And the death count now has surpassed 11,000 from that earthquake. That and a lot more here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today is National Molasses Bar Day. I could do with or without. Thankfully, I'm not sure where I could find molasses bars in Lynchburg, so I may not even go look for them today. But a new feature on this show. This is a church bulletin screw-up of the day. Thursday night, potluck supper, prayer, and medication to follow. That's what it said, folks. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the fat travel guy. And as always, if you are listening to the podcast and want to hop over on the video feed to check out pictures and clips, all you have to do is go to the description of the podcast, and there'll be a link for you to use. I did see that Brooklyn Yo-Yo Eddie is in the house. I have to show you this, folks. Yo-Yo Brooklyn Eddie had the lovely ladies hanging all over him the whole cruise. Notice the smile on his face. I don't blame him. I'd been smiling too. Of course, I'm teasing Eddie. That's his lovely wife and nautical nurse Nancy. So anyway, she was great. All right. Since we got such a full show today, I'll be back after a quick word from Scooter Around.
Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scooter Around. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scooter Around for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise.
And you know what I think about these folks? I love them. Absolutely love them. So I mentioned yesterday that I was working on my accessibility report from the Norwegian Breakaway. I am about 90% done. I've still got to insert some pictures and some video clips. So it will be up sometime this afternoon. And of course, within that, I did mention that I had earned a concession when I met with the special needs coordinator on the ship and went over my report with him. And that is that probably starting next week, that Scooter Around will be allowed to deliver scooters to the terminal and hopefully to the curb. That depends on the particular people and the port and how they're set up, but one or the other, which will be much better than going through the whole wheelchair business. So anyway, I talk about that a little bit in the accessibility report as well. So, all right, I'll be back with today's news after a quick word from one of our network sponsors. All right, our first story today deals with a couple medevac issues. There were, wow, where'd my story go? Honest, folks, I had a story written about the Coast Guard conducting 2 medevacs from a cruise ship, and it has disappeared. Anyway, there were 2 medevac issues, one from Symphony of the Seas and one from the Celebrity Edge. One was a young man on Symphony of the Seas, I'm doing this off memory, folks. An 18-year-old from Symphony of the Seas had some abdominal stress. They sent the medevac unit, the chopper sent a diver into the water and helped the guest that was in distress, his mother and a nurse, onto the chopper, and they took him to Puerto Rico. And just a little bit before that, off of the Celebrity Edge, an elderly gentleman, I want to say 76 years old, I believe was the age, also with abdominal distress. They lifted he and his nurse to the chopper from Celebrity Edge, and all of the guests were taken to hospitals in Puerto Rico. All right, this is the Carnival Glory. Carnival Cruise Line has canceled some more cruises. Carnival Glory will be going to dry dock in the spring of 2024 from March 24th to May 1st. The refurbishments will be done at Freeport in the Bahamas. Currently, Carnival Glory is sailing from New Orleans through early next year. After her dry dock next spring, the ship will reposition to Port Canaveral and offer 3 and 4 night Bahamas cruises from Port Canaveral. Guests looking forward to a weekend getaway on the Carnival Radiance later this year have just been informed that their cruise has been canceled due to a full ship charter. The December 8th sailing was to have been a 3-night round-trip sailing from Long Beach to Ensenada, Mexico, with 1 day at sea. And of course, they're offering normal compensation for the canceled cruises. I realize that a full ship charter can come up without knowing it, but I still maintain that cruise lines, how's this for a unique position, folks? A cruise ship has to go in every 3 years for a dry dock refurbishment. So why not lay your schedule out? Say ship number 1, the Carnival Glory, is going to go in here. The ship number 2, let's say the Carnival Panorama, is going to go in after that one. And don't schedule cruises the month or whatever time they're going to be in dry dock. So you don't have to screw up people that have made plans. How's that for a unique idea? Carnival and Royal Caribbean and Norwegian. It's not just Carnival. They all do the same thing. Man, y'all need to get a little better. It's just my thoughts about it. All right. Now, the Carnival Luminosa, a little different set of circumstances with this. Just this morning, a Carnival Australian ship that left Brisbane on Sunday for a 7-day Pacific voyage had to turn back in an effort to avoid a tropical cyclone in the Coral Sea. Carnival Luminosa was scheduled to visit Lufau Island, that's New Caledonia, today, but instead headed back to Australia. In a letter to passengers delivered this morning, Captain Marino said that given the forecasted path of the storm, they would not be able to deliver their planned itinerary and would instead enjoy a few days at sea as they head back to Brisbane. And of course, they're also offering some compensation, pretty much normal stuff. I'm not going to read through all the compensation. If you're involved with any of these, contact your cruise lines or your providers to get the detailed information on refunds, credits, whatever way you want to go. So, and just this morning, I got a message from Holland America. On March the 4th, my cruise from Port Everglades to San Diego, due to temporary government restrictions on cruise ships, the Zaandam will no longer call in Corinto, Nicaragua on Saturday, March the 11th, as planned, and will instead spend a day at sea. Corinto is in the middle of a $185 million project to modernize the cruise port facilities. I have a feeling that's what it is I couldn't find any issues with unrest, government protests in Nicaragua. They're spending $185 million to update the facilities, and as far as I know, there's only one cruise that canceled the port. So I have a feeling that has something to do with that project. My guess, only my guess. All right, folks, 4 flight attendants on a United Airlines flight were taken to the hospital yesterday after a flight crew reported a laptop on fire in the cabin, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. United Flight 2664 returned safely to San Diego International Airport about 7:30 a.m. yesterday after a customer's battery pack ignited, according to United Airlines spokesman Charles Hobart. The flight was headed to Newark. Our crew acted quickly to contain the device, and medical personnel met the aircraft upon arrival at the gate, reported Mr. Hobart. There were 2 passengers that should have gone to the hospital with the flight attendants, but they refused transportation. So, interesting thought about the safety of laptop computers on flights. There have been several other instances of this happening. Of course, you're not supposed to have the devices out during landing and takeoff. But, I assume that it's possible because it has happened before. So just be careful with that, folks. That's you don't want to fire on an airplane while it's in the air. So on this flight, I had my computer and my carry-on luggage, but it's just, for me, it's too much trouble to pull it out and stuff. I just sat back and relaxed. So I had my phone. So anyway, that's that story. All right. Margaritaville at Sea, a cruise line that brings the tropical, laid-back vibe of Jimmy Buffett's music to life, has teamed up with Uplift, a leading buy now, pay later solution, to offer its guests the ability to pay for their bookings in installments. The cruise line will provide interest-free payments via Uplift for a limited time. This new payment option will allow guests to reserve their cruises and spread the cost over monthly payments, providing greater flexibility in the booking process. The next story this morning has to deal with our buddies over at Princess. I'm going to be on the Caribbean Princess here in not too distant future. So I'm looking forward to that. 7 Princess cruise ships will sail to Alaska in 2024 with 158 departures from Anchorage, Vancouver, Seattle, and San Francisco. Royal Princess, Sapphire Princess, Grand Princess, Discovery Princess, Crown Princess, and Ruby Princess will all be visiting Alaska. That's a pretty strong lineup, folks, for Princess Cruise Line. Royal Caribbean, the second largest cruise company in the world, released its earnings for the year in 2022. Also something I normally don't talk about. And has provided some guidance for 2023. The company reported a much lower than expected fourth quarter loss of only $1.96 per share and an adjusted loss per share of $1.12. These numbers exceed the company's previous guidance. It shows that Royal Caribbean's group overwhelming success since its full return to service early in 2022, combined with better pricing on close-in demand, strong onboard spending results, and lower interest expenses. Congratulations to Royal Caribbean. Wow. Here's my Medevac story that was supposed to be the lead story today. Let's see if I got it all right. Coast Guard, Medevac to cruise passenger, blah, 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 blah. Edge, the Jayhawk Medevac, an 18-year-old American from Symphony with Seas with abdominal medical emergency, deployed a rescue swimmer to conduct a litter hoist and bring the patient, his mother, and the nurse safely on the helicopter. And the other incident, a Jayhawk crew medevac to 79-year-old American man from Celebrity Edge with abdominal medical emergency. The patient and a ship nurse were hoisted onto the aircraft. So at least the story didn't totally disappear. That's almost funny. Sorry about that, folks. I knew I wrote the damn thing this morning. It just somehow got moved from my top story to the 10th one. All right, this one, I rarely get shocked at things, but this one was shocking to me. Speaking of Royal Caribbean, the Ultimate Family Townhouse, which is going to be on Icon of the Seas, a 3-story experience for younger families, is already 55% sold for 2024 at an average price of $75,000 per week. Would some of those younger families like to adopt a grandpa? 75 grand a week for younger families. Wow. And it's 55% sold already. Amazing. Just amazing. All right, the numbers keep growing and growing and growing over there in Syria and Turkey. The death toll from the 7.8 magnitude earthquake has surpassed 11,000 this morning, making the quake the deadliest in more than a decade. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is visiting the quake zone today, where thinly stretched rescue teams worked through the night again, pulling more bodies from the rubbish of thousands of buildings topped by the catastrophic quake. And they fully predict that 11,000 number is going to go considerably higher. Really sad situation in one of our cruise areas. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a sad situation for a non-cruise area like Syria, but still Turkey is definitely a cruise area. So, sad situation. All right, let's go over and see who's fussing at me in the chat room today. Yo, Brooklyn in the house. And he says, but it was humid. Yes, it was. Cindy's with us. Good morning. Nikki's here. The mask collector's back again today. Greetings from parts unknown. Don't forget to give the live stream a thumbs up to help promote Chillie's channel. I do appreciate that. And he's speaking to everybody. Hey, Melissa's with us. Good morning, Melissa. Melissa and I spent a lot of time together this past week. Many of you know that Melissa and I sailed this summer on the JJ Cruise group cruise, and I was able to eat every night with Melissa and her husband and Jane and Martine, all from the JJ crew outfit, and we just had a wonderful time. I love that gang to death, especially Melissa. She's a special place in my heart and has since I met her. She's saying good morning to everybody as well. Eddie says, nice to meet you folks. Love the pics of your latest cruise. It looked like you were having the best time. Nikki, it was an excellent cruise. I was very pleased with it. I was very pleased with the ship. Yeah, there's a few things on it that are not good from the accessibility standpoint, but overall, the major issues are well handled. It would be very easy for virtually any disabled person to successfully sail on the breakaway. Very easy. A couple challenges here and there, but none that can't easily be handled. So hats off to them. And a really good meeting with the special needs coordinator, too. That was nice. Anyone sail out of the new Royal Caribbean terminal in Galveston? If so, what are your thoughts? I've not been out of the new one, but I'm quite familiar with it. I've talked to a couple people that have, and it's supposed to be just top notch. So I currently don't have anything booked for Galveston, but I'm still, I'm booked solid through June. Probably the next thing I book will be something from Galveston, because I do want to see that new terminal. Melissa says, we love you, Chillie. Thank you, Melissa. I love you too. We had so much fun. It really was. That was a terrific group. We partied a lot. Might have been some adult beverages involved as well. But we ate We ate dinner every night together. We had a couple lunches together. Janie and I went to sushi one day. That was a fun group. And then we had we had meet and greets with the JJ Cruise clan, as well as the vloggers group. So, I stayed busy. Constantly. Melissa says just a few adult beverages, and that was per hour, a few per hour was the general course of the actions. Yeah, it was a fun group. So, and I hate to say this, but you know me, I'm a lightweight. I went to bed hours before them every night. So, what can I say? I'm a lightweight when it comes to that. Got to get my butt in bed. So, but it was a great cruise. That was one of the best cruises I've taken from all standpoints. To be able to, get assurances on a major issue that's going to be corrected because of what I've done is obviously a big boost to my ego. Many times, I've talked to a number of cruise folks like this that are in charge of that, and I just don't get the feeling that they care. Many times, don't understand what I'm even saying. So sometimes I can get them to go with me to a public restroom so I can show them what I'm talking about. Sometimes they won't, and I just have to try to paint them a picture. Now I've got videos that I can pull up a video and show them if they won't go with me. So, but anyway, it was a good trip, good cruise. I got to meet a ton of people, just a ton of people. Also, they had a really good solo group that met every day at 5 o'clock. I had other commitments on several of the days, but I got to go to several of the meetups, meet all the folks. They all went to dinner together, not all of them together, but groups of them went every night to the Manhattan Room. They had special seating in there for the solo group. Norwegian provided a host. It wasn't a multi-event thing like I'll be doing on my hosted cruises, because I'm going to do a coffee in the morning. We'll have a meet someplace in the afternoon, hopefully at a bar that's open. So we might have cocktails before dinner, but that's what I'm going to try to set up at least. Doing things like slot pulls and some other things entirely for the group. If some of the group wants to get together going off the ship and the ports, we can, get them together. But Norwegian did a pretty nice job with the solo groups. And of course, a number of people were in the studio cabins. They had a solo lounge that a number of the guys frequented normally. It was a good group. And it was a group that I needless to say, gave out quite a few of my business cards so that I can get information to them on solo cruises as they get promoted here in the U.S. from Passions for Cruises. By the way, any of you that might be interested in the May 1st cruise, today is the deadline. So, you need to call them today and call Viva today to get booked if you're interested in going. So, and that deadline's not ours. That's from Norwegian. So, anyway, that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. Tomorrow is a normal Thursday show and a normal Cruise Amigo show tomorrow. The only thing major I have this week or next week is on Tuesday, which is after the show. I may have to leave processing the show to take off and drive across town to my oncology appointment. And of course, you know, that's a biggie for me. That's Tuesday at like 12:45. So I should have some time, hopefully, to get the show up and the podcast up. But if I don't, it'll be when I get home from the oncologist. So anyway, that's on Tuesday, and then I sail again on the 23rd. I go to Baltimore. I still have working yet on parking facilities, although I think I've got that arranged now. I've got to call them to make reservations because the port parking is $15 a day. They have accessible parking, but it's still a pretty good space from the actual terminal itself, which would mean I'd have to walk or handle getting my luggage and walker and everything together to be picked up by a shuttle bus. And yeah, no. So when I can do it a lot cheaper and I'm in no rush. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is go to one of the satellite lots like I did in Richmond. And that worked fine. So but anyway, that's coming up on the Baltimore cruise on Enchantment of the Seas. So that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. I will see everybody back here tomorrow morning. Same time, same channel for some more silliness. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.